Well, the first time I sort of came across ERA was I was at Alton Park in I'd be mid 80s, I'd say, sort of, yeah, midish to latish 80s. And there was this yellow chassis, blue, beer blue car being dragged in that had been into the bank and its wheels were hanging off. And I think it was a good friend of mine, Tony Stevens, and he was being dragged in. And that was the first time I saw this amazing yellow chassis and blue, because yellow and blue aren't particularly VSCC colours that you see going together. We discussed about leathers earlier, but there's bright leathers coming in. But there was this standout car, and it was just fantastic. And then as you come across them and you see them, and there was many ERAs out there racing at that time. And then I start working and I discover R1A, R3A, the two lime green, pea green ERAs that were heavily raced and competed. And then came across my good friend Matt Hulbert, Professor Hulbert, who owned R4D, which is the Raymond Mays ERA. It's the kind of the final iteration of the ERAs. And Matt was flying in from America to race this thing at the weekend all over the UK and Europe. So that's when I really came across ERAs as a brand and a mark. And I've just kind of followed them, and it's like, it's the pinnacle of that pre-war racing heritage that we can do. You're not going to go and drive a Silver Arrow or a Auto Union, but there is a chance you could drive a 6EM Maserati or an ERA, and I have driven a 6EM Maserati as well. It's a twin overhead valve Riley engine, essentially, that was developed by Raymond Mays and others at ERA, English Racing Automobiles, which is born in Lincolnshire, and they developed the car to go and take Britain to the F1 grids of the day. So they were a sit-up car, so the driver very much sits above the axles and the chassis, so you're quite high up, but when you're in the car you don't feel as if you are as highly perched. And the great thing is, because you're so high up, you can actually see both front wheels and you know exactly where they are at any one time. Great visibility. As I saw on Saturday, being able to see above Duncan in his low line ERA meant I could choose my overtake more easily than one if I'd been blocked by a taller car. But essentially, they are a development of a Riley engine, their own chassis. There's an A-type, B-type, which essentially what AJM1 is, a C and a D-type, and the D-type is the final iteration of that pre-war ERA, and then there's the E-type Grand Prix car that Duncan Ricketts owns and runs. And the vast majority, they start off with 1100, 1500, and the most of the cars you see today are all 2 litres. So last weekend at Silverstone, for the 90th anniversary, there was 1500 cars competing. There was a third one in the paddock as part of the group, which wasn't competing. But yeah, all the others were 2 litres. Unfortunately, Dad passed away when I was 20. I'd always wanted to be a racing driver, and sort of him passing on meant that the garage was then mine to work with, and there was a lathe and a milling machine in there and plenty of space. He left me an Austin 7 Chummy for my 21st, which Mum gave to me on his behalf. But I was at VSCC Spring Start the weekend before my birthday, and I saw this picture, which turns out to be R7B, but it's which is a 2 litre. But I saw this picture that had been drawn by Doug Wheeler. His father Keith was selling it, and I saw it in the Saturday morning. Thought, I love that picture. It just looked right. And by the end of the day, I persuaded myself to buy it. The car was more alive than sort of I was used to driving the MG Bellevue before this, similar, 1500cc as well. But the car's more alive. You can actually, with being higher up, you can see where, as I've said, You can see where those front wheels are. The brakes on it are phenomenal. They really are great brakes. And the power band, it comes in just after 5,000 RPM, 2 till 6. It just, when you sort of 5.2 on the Wellington straight into the top and you're just flying down there, but you can brake so much later. And then it's a very simple car to sort of, you can hold it in the slide. I had one moment on Saturday morning in practice, just out, there was a bit of oil on the track and it was all crossed up, and yeah, I didn't spin it. Something like the MG I would have spun, but that I didn't spin. I just collected it all and carried on. So it's hard to describe the actual driving experience, but it's everything you'd want from a historic racing car. It's compliant. It's there's quite a decent amount of throttle pedal travel, so you can actually feed the power in. And as I say, the brakes are fantastic. They really are. And with more time, I could get myself going quite a bit faster and have that confidence, which is what you need in any historic racing car. It's, if you're confident with it, that's where you get the best out of a car. It's almost free publicity in some respect because your name's there, you're there as a person. It's the place where you can meet up with past clients, future clients, friends, because most of our clients, I would say, were friends as well. I don't think there's anyone we've ever had to fall out with, but it's been in that mix and being seen to be driving a car of this nature that you're actually respected and you're trusted. So at the end of the day, when people are placing cars with us, they're placing them here in trust. You're not going to put a multi-100,000 or a multi-million-pound car in a showroom with somebody that's not trusted. So I think there's a huge amount of trust given, a huge amount of trust from Ben to allow me to share or use his spare ERA. So a lot of the ERAs are owned by two owners these days. So it was great to have that second car out on track for the ERA grid. But it's an amount of trust and having somewhere where people can talk to you in a relaxed way, where they're not feeling that they're going to be sold to, or they're going to be having to sign with you because they've turned up. It's just been, because at the end of the day, yes, I sell cars for a living, but my passion is actually racing and driving them.